Oh, I'm live. I think I'm live. Okay. That'll be edited out. So, I don't know if anybody's on yet, but this will be an edited out part, obviously. I'll start in less than a minute. Okay. And excuse me, I think we just turned to 12 o'clock. And my nose started itching. Sorry. You're funny. Timing's everything. Okay. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1. Hello there, I'm Dan Weedin. Welcome back after a week-long hiatus. I'm back on my Weedin Unleashed weekly broadcast. Maybe I should call it the almost weekly broadcast, although I think I've been making more of them than just almost. I have yet to learn how to do it away from home. Hopefully that'll be coming soon. So anyway, welcome back after 2 weeks. Glad to be here. And today we're going to be talking about the concept that I call gravitational pull. And so before we get started, I know that we're going to have some people on board. Looks like we have maybe a couple already. And that some of you may be watching this where it's been recorded, regardless of how you're here. I'm happy that you're here. Thank you for joining me. And I hope that you'll spend this segment getting to learn something that will help you as you go through your business and personal life. And we're going to talk about gravitational pull and how that can affect both of them. So we're off and running. Again, welcome. I'm Dan Weedin. Let's get started. First of all, if you read my extra points today, which is usually what I talk about, if you read my extra points today, you'll notice that we talked about a concept called gravitational pull. Here's what I mean by that. Let's just talk from a business aspect. You know, we can get into certain routines and we can start feeling comfortable about things, and at some point we realize that we need to up our game. So we need to go from whatever our current state is into a desired state. And that desired state, if you can look at it from a visual aspect, is at a higher level, a higher plane. Well, how do we get to that higher level? Well, we make changes. And in a lot of cases, we'll make changes, immediately or even gradually. We'll pace ourselves. The ultimate goal, though, is to trend up and to get to that spot into the future where our desired state has been reached. Unfortunately, that trend up is not a direct straight line. Just like in the stock market, where you see all the ups and downs of the stock market, we do the same thing. So, for instance, let's just say that you would like to have a new desired state to be a better speaker or to write a book. Actually, let's do write a book. I just got a new book deal. Let's talk about write a book. And that the desired state is that you become an author, you become a published writer. Well, there are certain steps along the way that have to be done to reach that. And as you improve yourself, you keep trending up. Well, things happen in life, and there are many things that can cause us to hit road bumps, to hit our speed bumps, to hit that speed bump in the road. And what it does is it drags us back. It's gravitational pull. It's trying to drag us back to what I call our default state, where we were prior, that current state where we are now, where we wanted to improve from. It drags us back to there. So what are some of those things that cause gravitational pull? Well, the first easy answer is time challenges. We're all challenged with time. Things happen, and when we become stressed with time, we tend to go back to the default. Here's an example I like to give to my clients. I'm a football guy. Love football, and have watched it and studied it to a certain extent all my life. When football coaches talk about the quarterback and the mechanics of a quarterback throwing a football, they talk about that the quarterback, even as they're trying to make changes in their mechanics, will always default back to what has been their normal. So let's say you have a quarterback who's got pretty good potential, but the mechanics of the throw need to be improved. Let's say he was a college quarterback, and they get to the pros and they say, hey, that's just not going to work anymore in the pro game. You've got to fix your mechanics. So the quarterback works and works and works at changing the mechanics. The problem is that often, and these are the quarterbacks that don't make it, by the way, often those quarterbacks, when they're under heavy pressure, when those 350-pound defensive linemen are coming to try to bury them into the ground, they default back into the mechanics that they had before. The quarterbacks that don't rebound back and keep the new mechanics, they're out of the business pretty soon. The ones that have figured that out, have figured a way to go to that desired state, they stay on longer. It's the same with us. You know, we're not quarterbacks in the NFL, but we are business professionals. And if we are looking to, say, write a book, and we've set that goal, and we know that there are certain things, that, you know, behaviors and activities that we have to do in order to get there, there are things that are going to, just like the quarterbacks rush the defense coming in, we have our own. Time is one of them. I had a recent one just pop up, and that was I was gone for the last week on vacation. In fact, as I looked back, I've been gone, it seems like, for about the last 7 or 8 weeks. I've been flying to different events. I've been speaking. I've had business trips. I've had fun trips. All in all, though, it's been a ton of travel, mostly by air, but even some 3-hour drives and such. I came back, honestly, last week a little emotionally and physically tired. So it's not only time, but it's just your overall energy level can sometimes bring you down. And all of a sudden, I found myself, not doing some of the things that I needed to do. In a lot of areas, and I felt myself being pulled back down by that gravitational pull. Now, look, what I wrote in my extra points today is we're all human. There is no way to avoid it. These things are going to pop up. The most important thing that you can do, though, is to recognize it. That's first and foremost. So you have to recognize it's pulling you down. So whatever it is that you have to do, acknowledge it first of all. Even give it some time. You know, when you're emotionally and physically tired, sometimes you just need a weekend. You know, sometimes you just need to take some time off and rejuvenate. But don't take too long, because you have to get working back up. So if I had a graph here of any point, you'd see very much like a good stock that keeps going up. It's going to have its highs. People are going to sell off, and it's going to come down a little bit. Then people are going to think it's a good value and go back up. So you have that diagram up there. The same is true with us. We're on that upward plane, and we hit some level of gravitational pull that starts bringing us down. We discern it, we understand it, we say we're not going to let it get us down, and we bump right back up. Just like if it was something that you bounce right back off. It's a bouncing point moving back up. If you keep doing that, if the trend keeps going up, even if it's not on a straight line, eventually you're going to reach your goal. So I know I've got some people on board here. This is the time that I'll usually at least put a query out there to some of you brave folks. If there's anybody who wants to share in this conversation, number one is if you have any questions, feel free to go to the question and answer. I should have a chat box there on your right-hand side. Go to the question and answer. If you have a question about something that is, troubling you or challenging you in this area, I'm happy to answer that question. The other thing I'll put out there is, what have you noticed in your own professional or personal life that has been one of those speed bumps for you that brings you back down to gravitational pull? And feel free to share that if you found a way to conquer it, great, let us know. Or if you have a question on how to do that, this is your time to interact with us. Like I said, I know I've got a few people out there. Feel free to join us. If you're watching on YouTube later, sorry, I guess hopefully we'll have some questions come in and help with that. But again, as people have a chance to write down, just a quick recap. Gravitational pull happens to all of us. And I've talked to many a client where they've said, you know, I've done all of this. We've been working on stuff for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and I've been working, and all of a sudden I've just kind of hit this lull. I've kind of bottomed out. I feel like I'm coming back down. I think it's the same like with writer's block. When writers are writing and writing, all of a sudden they hit this writer's block. It's kind of I think it's a creativity, it's an energy block, and sometimes it's almost that little guy, that little doppelganger on your shoulder saying you can't do it. That's when you have to flick them off and say, yes, I can, and acknowledge and move forward. It's not always easy. Certainly, it is easier said than done. We all have to go through it, though. You've got to have a plan and a strategy and understand that that's something that could happen. We don't have any questions that are coming in just yet. So in that case, I'll go ahead and keep on talking. This is the beauty of what we would call live TV. By the way, I do have Captain Jack here with me. He's sleeping a little bit, so I'm only going to wake him at the end. I said to everybody that he'll make a guest appearance today. He may not be very satisfied about being woken up, but you know, so it is. We'll go to lunch afterwards. He'll be happy. But if anybody has any thoughts or comments out there on gravitational pull, how it affects you, questions that you might have on how to get out of it. You might even have a situation where if you are in charge of people, we'll talk about this in just a second. I saw something come up here, and I'll answer that real quickly here. But if you're in charge of people, if you're a manager, supervisor, owner of a business, you may notice that you've put into place some things that you want to improve in the business, and it involves your employees, the people that you manage, to do some things. And what you'll find is there's always this big surge. There's this big surge in the beginning, and then there's gravitational pull down. It can happen to teams too. That's an important factor to talk about. So Don wrote something. Let me see here. It's very easy to get distracted by the things that are easy and comfortable rather than challenge myself with things that are new and difficult. Those easy things can chew up a ton of time. And she capitalized ton. Yeah, they sure can. I want to point out a couple words that Don mentioned here. Easy and comfortable. You know, whenever we grow, it takes work. And then when we find that we're mastering that new growth, all of a sudden it becomes somewhat easy and comfortable. And it's part of what I think I've spoken about before, the success trap. You know, we get caught in this little trap where it's easy and comfortable, and if we want to continue to grow, sometimes it's hard. That gravitational pull is saying, hey, you know what, let's just keep doing this. It's that little thing in your mind, let's continue to do this because it's easy. Challenging yourself to do things that are new and difficult, that's the hard part. And so, Don, thank you for bringing that up. If you want to share again some more, you know, what are some things that you do? Or if you have questions about it, what can you ask? But what are some of the things that you do to bounce yourself back? I know for me, I'll use me as an example, and then I want to go back to the teams a little bit. I know getting out and doing something different, changing my perspective. So whether it means going and doing some exercise, taking Captain Jack and Bella for a walk, even getting out and going out and having getting a cup of coffee. I work from home, so I actually need to leave the premises. But sometimes I'll even go out on the back deck and just chill out or watch a little TV. Sometimes, especially if it's a mental thing, you have to kind of clear your mind. And sometimes it means getting away from your desk and doing something different. For me, that is very helpful. You know, when you're finding the distractions, because I think that was something that Donna said, when you're finding the distractions, see if there's a way that you can rid yourselves. I'm going to tell you, one of my biggest distractions, this has been my whole life, one of my distractions is I end up putting a bunch of things on my desk. I'm looking there now. It's starting to pile up again. And those can be distracting. It's really hard for me. I'll be honest, it's really hard for me to kind of go through and kind of clean that up so I don't have to look at it anymore. And my wife Barb always reminds me about that. It's time again. I see that coming. That can be a distraction. Then it's all nice and it starts piling up again. So that might be one of the things for you. So life happens, things like that happen, but you just have to find a way to, number one, understand it's there, and then number two, realize what is it going to take for me to kind of pump myself up. I mentioned in my column, if you are being coached or mentored by somebody, that's a time to give them a call and say, hey, I'm stuck, what do I do? Maybe your spouse or significant other in your personal life, that's a good way to do it. And have a talk. We can't be brilliant by ourselves. Sometimes we need somebody to either slap us on the back of the head or offer us a show of support, or both. You know, I want to get back a little bit to the teams thing. I just kind of popped into my head as we were sitting here talking. Teams have that issue. This is not exclusive to individuals. Teams have this issue as well. And there are many situations in both small and large businesses where you have a team project that's underway and you're in charge of that project, or maybe you're a leader within that team. Well, teams can, again, have a lot of energy moving out forth, you know, out and going. They have a lot of energy, but sometimes they can lose steam because, again, maybe part of it's become easy and comfortable, or maybe they didn't buy in from the beginning, or maybe some of the other duties that they have come in and have started taking away from the time. As a leader, if you're a leader on that team, if you're on an executive team, a leadership team, something like that, you've got to be able to recognize that, and you have to realize that you now have become the influencer. You're the person who now needs to go forward and keep those people moving. Doing that, just like what we talked about before, is much easier said than done. Being a great communicator, being an effective influencer becomes very important in those situations. Again, I think, Don, thanks for sharing. If there's anybody else out there who wants to share or ask questions, this is a great time. We're about 16 minutes into our session. We'll go up to half an hour, but I'm happy to answer any questions or respond to anything else because this is about what I had to say for today. So, quick recap as I give you that chance, and before we bring Captain Jack onto the scene, that'll be the final thing. So when you see Jack, you'll know we're running out of time, because by waking him up, that means we're on to bigger and better things. Gravitational pull happens. It happens throughout the year and throughout your life, both professionally and personally. It happens because we become distracted, we have time issues, we get lazy, we all get lazy, things like that happen. We lose energy because maybe we're tired, either physically or mentally or both. We're coming back from vacation, or we might even be having challenges with people we work with, our boss, or if we're the boss, some employees. There's a lot of different reasons, relationship issues. There's a lot of different things that will cause those speed bumps, start bringing you back down. First of all, you have to understand they're there, recognize them, and have a plan in place to say, I feel this coming, I've got to move myself back up. So that happens not only to individuals, but it happens to teams as well. So if you're in a leadership position, you need to be a good influencer, you need to be a good communicator. So anyway, I don't know if there's anything else out there, no other questions. That's what we've got for today. I will mention I'll be back next week. I'm on a roll. I don't think I'm going any place again for about another 6 weeks, at least on a Monday. So I think we're all good to go. So I'll be back next Monday, 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I'll send out another invitation. The best way to find me for these are through Google, on Google+. Go search Dan Weedin. I also am on Twitter at Dan Weedin. I'm on LinkedIn. You can search me there. So I post notifications with the link all over the place under an event. I'd love to continue to have people come hang out with me, and we will continue to do this. So anyway, next week we'll be back. I'll have a different topic. I don't know what that one is yet, but it'll be fun and exciting. So anyway, if there's nothing else out there, let's have a meet. Let's meet Captain Jack here. Jack, I know you're sleeping, but I think people would like to meet you. Come here. Come here. Here's Captain Jack. He's making, I believe, this is his debut in Unleashed. I hope that he'll get a good picture of him here. He's been sleeping. He's been working. He calls it working. And you can see that he's in need of a shave. He's in need of his summer dew. Captain Jack and I are happy to announce that we have a new book being published, a commercially published book. It's a spin-off of the first Unleashed, which we did some writing, didn't we, Captain Jack? We did some writing on that. And so my current publisher for Ensuring Success, Global Professional Publishing out of the United Kingdom, has agreed to do a new book with me, and we start on that tomorrow. It's on my calendar for tomorrow to get started. Have you started writing yet? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he started writing yet, but he's got to, because we have to have that in by November. So anyway, Captain Jack is here. He is saying hello to all of you, and we are really happy to have you on board, hoping to help you get unleashed in all you're doing. I'm going to put Jack down, and with that, he's ready for lunch now, I think. My best to all of you. Thank you for joining us, whether you did it live or you're watching later. Glad you could be here. We'll be back again. Sorry, I was looking at my video. We'll be back again next week, same time, same channel, and we'll look to have you join us then. Thanks again. Ciao.